Hey everyone, I wanted to come in and say a few words about the Variety Marvel article that everyone's been talking about. And actually, as per usual, I think I am bringing up the rear in terms of covering this, but it's worth covering. Hey all, I have a request from this side of the camera. Uh, no matter how long you watch, hopefully you watch until the end, but please consider smashing that like button. And also, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to this channel. That would help me out a great deal, and that would help the channel out a great deal as well. Hey, everyone. Well, hey, I just wanted to get in here and say a few words about the Variety Marvel Disney article that's been making the rounds here in the YouTube streets, particularly in the movie entertainment and fanboy and fangirl sectors. I mean, there really isn't a lot I can say that people have not already said. I can just give my own spin and my own thoughts on the article. I did read the article. I did not. I do not plan to read it verbatim. I'm just going to talk about the main points, and I'm going to say what I think about this entire thing. I was gonna earlier this summer or towards the end of the summer, I was gonna create a pre-record on Disney forsaking its quote unquote woke agenda. I don't know that they're going to do that, unfortunately. However, yeah, as a fan of phases 1 through 3, I am disappointed with what they've done since then, and I think a lot of the decisions and strategies have not been well thought out, and they have been flawed uh, down to their core, and they've been ill conceived, and they just have not they did not keep in mind what made phases 1 through 3 successful, and they forgot what made those 3 phases meaningful for everyone involved. And that they just kind of went in different directions with no clear plan, and you have what you have right now. And I think a big thing is that they did not stay true to the demographic of fans that made phases 1 through 3 successful. They didn't always stay true to the source material, which is a no-no when you're adapting something from the source material, but they really forsook, I think that's the right tense for that word. They really did forsake their fans who were all in, who were all in for phases 1 through 3. So I'm gonna pull up the Variety article. Again, I'm not going to read through it verbatim, but I'm just going to give the main points, and then I'm going to conclude with some more of my own commentary. We're going to focus on the artwork in the article because I think whoever created that artwork really, really um, hit home, or they really, really captured the essence of why Marvel Disney is now struggling, and why we may be at the end of this whole superhero genre, or why, at least for this iteration of it, why we may be witnessing the death of the superhero genre, as the Critical Drinker and others are predicting. And Disney's not the only one. Warner Brothers, they fumbled with the whole forsaking of the Snyderverse. They have fumbled the ball as well. So Disney is not the only one here. Marvel Disney is not the only one here. But this is going to focus on their part of this. So this article is entitled Crisis at Marvel, Jonathan Majors Backup Plans, The Marvels Reshoots, Reviving Original Avengers, and More Issues Revealed. This was written by Tatiana Siegel. I don't know who did the artwork for that, but whoever did, that person needs to be recognized and given proper attribution as well. So I'm going to start. So the things that are talked about in this article and the things that are described in the title, these aren't things the fans, the YouTube content creators, the fanboys and the fangirls, these aren't things people haven't been talking about over the last couple of years here. It's just that these are now captured in this article of this, I'll call it a mainstream periodical for everybody to see. So these things have been discussed for years and years prior to now. Unfortunately, the Marvel Disney team, they, if they've been listening, they haven't acted on what they've heard. They've continued on the road they were on, and this is where they are. So let me focus on this picture, because I think this picture, it pretty much epitomizes this entire article. So you see that red line that represents a technical analysis. I'll call it that. Those of you who have taken stock investing classes, you know that there's a technical analysis where you could see how a stock is doing over a given period of time. So that it's not listed on this illustration, but that probably started in the early to mid 2000s when the series of Hulk movies were produced. And I guess that's probably why the Hulk is the first one they're holding the trend line. But you could see that that trend line is going up and up. And what heroes coincide with that trend line going up and up? You have the Hulk, you have Captain America, you have Black Widow, you have Spider-Man underneath. You could say that he was a part of, yeah, all three Spider-Men were a part of that trend line. Even Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. You have Doctor Strange there, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. And then at the top, you have my favorite MCU character, uh, Iron Man slash Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr. Now, what you see there in the background is Mickey Mouse looking, pulling the curtain and kind of taking a look with trepidation at what's happening. So there you see where Iron Man is. And I think that probably coincides with Avengers Endgame, when Iron Man died, when Tony Stark died, and when Captain America went back into the World War II era to be with Peggy, and the end of Phase 3. Now you see the trend line trending downwards. And there's Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. There's Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury. There is Ant-Man, who was a part of phases 1 through 3. At the bottom, you have Loki, and then you have Falcon, the new Captain America, and it looks like the bottom there is the She-Hulk. Okay, so this is basically what the article is saying. It's saying that, and this is nothing that people on YouTube haven't been saying for the last 2 to 3 years, is that they had a magic formula. They had a winning formula in phases 1 through 3, and then the phases that came after that, the material that came after that on Disney Plus and in the theaters, it was directionless, and also it was infused with narratives, as the critical drinker says, the message. So there was no direction, there was no overarching bad guy at that point, and then you had all of these shows and movies that turned the MCU into the quote unquote MCU, as many YouTube content creators called it. And they really just got away from the things that made phases 1 through 3 great. There was very little social messaging. There was very little woke agenda in phases 1 through 3. We just had a strong bad guy who was putting a plan together, and we had a band of heroes who we watched grow, who we were introduced to, and who we watched grow and evolve together. We watched them break apart. We watched them fight like groups of people on a team typically do, and then we watched them come back together. We watched them evolve. We watched Iron Man, Tony Stark evolve. We watched uh, uh, Captain America, Steve Rogers. We watched him evolve. We watched Black Widow have a little romance with Bruce Banner. We watched Tony Stark mentor Tom Holland's Peter Parker. We watched the coming of Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. So, but it was all story based. It was all action adventure based. It was all as Christopher Nolan said in the Dark Knight series, these were all elemental stories of good and evil that were about the characters, and they were about people. They weren't about social agendas and narratives. And that's what they basically force fed us after phase 3. Okay, so I'm not going to get into, well, I may get into it to some degree, but the title, let's go back to the title. So, Crisis at Marvel, Jonathan Majors, backup plans. So, I'm just going to go over this briefly. So, what they talked about at this retreat, this described in the article, I'm going to leave it in the description box. They were deliberating over what to do with the Kang character based upon Jonathan Majors' trials and tribulations with the law and the accusations that were lofted at him. It looks like he's going to be exonerated. I kind of think he should be based upon what we're hearing now, but will the company still want to associate with him once this is all said and done? So they're deliberating over that. And there are some who think that the Kang villain is not a proper villain or a good villain for something like this. The Marvel's reshoots, everybody who has watched, well, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel has been a bit of a dumpster fire. So I think her role in Endgame, there wasn't a lot there. Everybody's favorite part of Endgame with Brie Larson was the Thanos punch. You still see that come up in videos, but one feeling is that she was shoehorned in there before Endgame at the peak, even though she became an unpopular character, and the actress herself alienated quite a few of the fans. So now in her second movie, it's not her own movie. She has to share it. She has to share it with 2 other characters. And now, in a last-ditch effort, there are murmurings of them bringing back the original crew. So you killed off Tony Stark. Captain America is living the family life. And now there is speculation that these characters, the original cast and crew, will be brought back. Now there are challenges with that. They will probably have to use the multiverse. Some people have soured on the multiverse. And then another question is, how does Marvel Disney afford, after they've blown so much money on phase 4 and what's coming in phase 5, with very few profits to show from it, how are you going to pay Robert Downey Jr. what he is worth to bring him back? So that's discussed in this article. Also, so their movies have lost money. They've involved a lot of reshoots, and with fan interest waning, they're taking losses pretty much with every movie, and the quality of the movies have uh, trended downwards. There's talk of reshoots for most of their movies because what they originally have is not good. And then even when they reshoot those movies, the end product is not good. So that's a big thing. Another one, another one is the CGI. The CGI, particularly for, well, She-Hulk was criticized for its CGI. I'm not an expert on CGI, but the CGI in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, that really took a hit, um, and was highly criticized for its low quality. And then finally, just the overall writing and the overall um, quality of the products they're putting out. One of the issues with the Blade movie, a lot of people have been waiting for the Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali. That's gone through numerous rewrites. And according to this article here, the way it was written, again, it was um, a woke story, a quote unquote woke story with the narrative. Shout out to the Critical Drinker, where the Blade character that everyone was expecting to see was actually fourth in importance in the actual plot, in the actual story. So no one was going to like that. That was going to lose money. So there are all these production snafus and gaffes and flaws that this group is creating, and ultimately they're just losing money and they're losing fans. And this thing that was once very popular, now a lot of fans don't even recognize and don't want to be associated with. And I don't blame them. I still go see the movies. I probably will go see Captain Marvel, not Captain Marvel, the Marvels, just for the because I like going to the movies, but I'm not going in there with high expectations. So let's take a look at the other illustration in this article, and then I'm going to wrap this video up. So I think this illustration, and who again, shout out to whoever created these illustrations. This sums it up. Yeah, political cartoons are very popular. What you see here is you see all the fans leaving. You see the fans leaving the current lineup, and the current lineup is looking on and wondering what's going on. So you have right there, you have Ant-Man. You have Paul Rudd's Ant-Man right there in the front. You have Anthony Mackie's Falcon, who is now Captain America. You have Loki in the middle. You have Kamala Khan there. You have Bucky. You have Brie Larson's Captain Marvel there in the back. You have Groot. You have Kang. And then you have the She-Hulk, which, at least the way she was portrayed in the MCU, she is a very unpopular character. But it's the stories they've created, it's the narratives they've put into the stories, and it's the characters that they've chosen to highlight. So let me just say this. So Ant-Man in phases 1 through 3, Ant-Man, Falcon, Loki, and Bucky, Sebastian Stan's Bucky, the Winter Soldier, those were all popular characters from my vantage point in phases 1 through 3. But the question is, to Marvel Disney, can you make these the featured characters as you try to bring this type of thing forward? Now, one of the things I've heard was that they wanted Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, and Black Panther to be the new faces of the MCU. Of course, we know Chadwick Boseman died. Brie Larson alienated a lot of the fans early on, and there's this constant tug of war over who actually owns Spider-Man. So that triumvirate, that second triumvirate, was never able to materialize in the way that they hoped it would. But this cartoon here pretty much epitomizes what's happening. This current lineup is not popular, and it's not just the actors or the characters, it's the way the stories were constructed, and it's the way that these characters were written, and how they all fit together, and the fact that there was no, beyond phases 1 through 3, there was no overarching bad guy that everyone was afraid of, and that everyone was kind of looking forward to seeing the team battle. So this says quite a bit, and I think those are the major issues with what Marvel Disney has faced. So with that, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to come on and give some commentary on it. I may be bringing up the rear, but this is worth capturing. I'm a fan of many franchises. Some of you have recently seen I'm a Star Trek guy. I grew up a Star Trek guy. I grew up a Star Wars guy. And G.I. Joe, the Transformers, the Thundercats, all of that. I'm a superhero guy as well. I grew up reading mostly DC, and I really gravitated towards the Marvel side due to the MCU, the phases 1 through 3. So I remember going to see Iron Man 1, and based upon what I knew of Robert Downey Jr. in the 80s and then up through the 90s and into the early 2000s, I remember going and seeing that and wondering, is Robert Downey Jr. really going to play a superhero? Can Robert Downey Jr. be a superhero? Because I go back to Robert Downey Jr. Playing in Weird Science, and all of those 80s movies. I remember Chris Evans. I remember seeing him play Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four, where he was for the most part there for comic relief. And I remember thinking, he's going to play Captain America. How is he going to play Captain America? He was Johnny Storm, and he was a bit of a clown. But both of those characters, who were the main two characters in phases 1 through 3, they pulled it off. They embodied those characters. They became those characters. And that entire team had really good chemistry. And they had a good story arc. And they had a villain. And there was no social agenda in phases 1 through 3. So that's what made those movies great. And I think that's what made all of us go see those movies. See, am I a normie or am I a fanboy? Well, I'll call myself a fanboy. I mean, I'm not the 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 super powered fanboy like some of the other fanboys, but I'm a fanboy enough to make video content on these things, and I'm a fanboy enough to have some of the movies back there, and to have some of the soundtracks on my computer, and to for phases 1 through 3 to have really looked forward to seeing those movies and those characters. I am a fanboy to that degree. So this was all premeditated. There were people up in high places: Kevin Feige, Victoria Alonso, Bob Iger, in Marvel and in Lucasfilm. All these decisions, the reason these franchises are tanking, all those people had a hand in this. So this was all pre-calculated and premeditated. I just don't know why they took their finger off the pulse of what their loyal fans wanted, and I don't know why they deviated from the formula that made them successful. So, are we watching the death of the superhero genre, as the critical drinker says? Well, maybe this version and this iteration of it. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Can Marvel Disney be saved at this point? There's a lot of, from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of, and I think this might be discussed in the Variety article as well. There's a lot of wrangling, and there's a bit of a fight going on in management over there at Marvel Disney. So I don't know what the outcome of all that's going to be, but is it all dying? And have we seen the end of this genre in its current iteration? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. This is Big Discussions 76, Entertainment and Media. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. If you are new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate something to the channel, that information is below in the description box. And also, please consider joining the Big Words LLC newsletter. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer myself with 2 blogs and a book project on the way. And with that, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. And Marvel Disney, Marvel Disney, Lucasfilm, all of those franchises, Warner Brothers, everybody, remember this one valuable saying: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.